cup of coffee, sit back and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life features stories to inspire and motivate you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. Visit cyacyl.com.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Does meeting the increasing challenges of everyday life sometimes leave you feeling spiritually unfulfilled? Is stress taking a toll on your physical and emotional well-being? Today's guest, davidji, a meditation teacher, author, and public speaker, was an executive who found himself immersed in the business world. Slowly and progressively, his life became a grind, and he lost emotional and physical balance, leaving him feeling spiritually unfulfilled. davidji became an apprentice to Deepak Chopra and went on to be the lead educator at the Chopra Center for the past 10 years. He was appointed the first dean of Chopra Center University. davidji is transforming the way the world sees stress management by debunking misconceptions about meditation and making it a practical tool for people from all walks of life. He's the author of the new book, Secrets of Meditation, a practical guide to inner peace and personal transformation. Welcome, davidji. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Joan. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on your show.
You know, davidji, even before we get into the interview, I want to just talk about your name because I think people are sitting home saying that I'm interviewing some guy named davidji. So if you could tell us a story about your name, I think it's a fascinating one.
I'm from Queens, grew up in New York, worked in the wild swirl of the New York City corporate world. I worked in the World Trade Center on one of the upper floors for quite a while as well. And in the wake of 9/11, I pretty much had lost all perspective. I lost balance. I lost meaning in my life. And so I headed off on my, quote, my own version of Eat, Pray, Love. Mm-hmm. And I headed off to a workshop in Oxford, England, that Deepak Chopra was holding. And we meditated together for 7 days. And at the end of that, I did what you do after hanging out with Deepak Chopra, headed off to India and cruised around India in search of the guru. I searched high and low for about 6 months, going to ashrams and meditating and doing yoga and doing all these conversations with roadside sages. And it dawned on me one day that the guru rests inside, that the answer to every question we could ever ask truly rests within. So that was my aha moment. I came back to New York, and then someone said to me, all you do now is sit around and meditate. You should learn to teach meditation. And I said, come on, I'm from New York. I don't care about anyone else's meditation. And so they said, well, if you really want to take your practice to the next level, then learn to teach something. So I went to the Chopra Center. I pretty much immersed myself into that world, hanging out with Deepak Chopra and David Simon, the co-founders. And over time, I started off just helping out there, and then I started teaching, and then I started truly getting deeper and deeper into the practice. And then one day, David Simon, the co-founder, came up to me and he said, listen, you can't be David, I'm David. There can only be one David here. It's too confusing. So I said, so who should I be? He said, you can be davidji. And I said, you mean like 12-step davidji? And he said, no, it's J-I at the end of your name. In Hindi, it's a term of reverence. It means beloved. And I said, well, my mother named me David because in the Bible, that means beloved. So I am beloved. Mm-hmm. And so that was really, and that was 10 years ago. And since that moment, everyone in my world has called me davidji.
You touched upon your story of having the aha moment. And we all know what it means to be a high-powered executive in New York. I mean, you must have been stressed out to the hilt and living that fast-paced life. To make such a transformation, was that something that you could have ever imagined years ago looking at your life forward?
No, it really wasn't even a possibility. But, I think we all can have an aha moment when we're in the depths of pain or the depths of losing hope. It's like, well, nothing feels good inside. My work life was essentially waking up at 2 a.m. with a knot that I held deep in my stomach, and I held that all day long. And then I headed off, to the World Trade Center, and then banged it till, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And so working 14-hour days every single day in quest of something, in quest of money, in quest of fulfillment, in quest of balance, and, whatever that was. But at a certain point, I realized that all of my relationships were starting to be turbulent. that I wasn't sleeping well at night, that I really wasn't feeling balanced and centered, and that I wasn't finding fulfillment in anything that I did. I was just showing up, burning through the day, coming home, passing out, and I realized I've been doing that for about 15 years. And where's the sweetness of life? Where's the magnificent richness that I know is out there someplace? And so from that space of knowing there was something else, something bigger, something better, not just a new job, but just a way of seeing life and a way of feeling about life and looking at every moment, that I went on that journey.
Now, davidji, you had the strength and the courage to continue on this journey. For someone who may be having an aha moment of his or own right now, how can they begin and how can they keep it going? Like you said, you've been doing this now for years. It wasn't just a couple of months and you went back to your old life. How can someone get on this new path and continue forward?
Well, I think, one of the critical moments in New York, maybe it was about a week after 9/11, I was walking down in SoHo, and somebody living in a cardboard box that I walked past suddenly grabbed my pant leg, and they looked out of the box. They peered up at me, and they said, "What's going to be on your tombstone?" That's a fairly aha moment. It's a fairly intense question to be asked by anyone. Mm-hmm. And so, that still resonates with me. What is going to be my life? We have a choice in every moment of what it's going to be. And rather than pointing at excuses and it could have been this or I could have been that, that was one of the most important aspects that really kicked me into this mode. And then I realized that I needed some type of consistent way of pushing it forward. And so, we wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth. We don't say, you know what, today I'm not going to brush. I won't shower either. We do it. And so the awakening and the unfolding for me was to ritualize my morning meditation practice, no differently than I ritualized my teeth brushing. We wake up in the morning, we look at the clock, and then we go through 8 to 15 morning ablution rituals. We shower, we do hair and makeup, we shave, we cook food, we walk our dogs, we take care of our kids, whatever that is, that morning. And pretty much we do that almost in an autopilot way. We flow through one activity into the next. And so that's really, in my book, Secrets of Meditation, it's important that I share if we can ritualize this, because when we take ritual and add meaning to it, that equals transformation. And so I've ritualized my morning meditation practice. I developed this technique called RPM, Rise, P, Meditate. And so within 35 minutes of me opening my eyes every morning, I've got a half hour of stillness and silence. And then that flows into every word throughout the day, every action. And I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes and I misspeak and I misact, but I have an awareness that allows me to just be a little slower, and life comes at me almost in slower motion, so that I can address it. And stress really something that I lived with every single moment in every aspect of my life, now is just, something that I can smile at.
davidji, we're talking about the importance of meditation. And for someone who is that type A personality and doesn't know how to quiet the mind, how can that person get started? And what are some of the benefits of this practice?
Well, for about 5,000 years, people have been talking about how great meditation is. But it really hasn't been until the last several years that modern technology, brain imaging software, and MRIs, and chemical tests on hormones in the body, we've actually been able to prove, and this is not just some meditator proving it, this is within the context of Harvard and Yale and University of Wisconsin and some of the major medical centers as well as academic institutions. They're really doing this research, and they've proven that a couple of things happen when you meditate. And I'll get into the different types, but anyone can meditate anytime, under any circumstances. And what happens is, first, you become calmer. You have a lower blood pressure. You strengthen your immune system. Most of the time we're in this fight, flight, or reactive mode because, especially in New York, with that go, go, go swirl that's so intense swirling around us. And a lot of times we're not even aware of it, but someone says something, or even if we're crossing the street and suddenly a taxi accelerates at us. In that moment, adrenaline and cortisol, stream into our body. And so we're moving a lot from this reactive or ego-centered response, which now has been scientifically proven chemically. We're damaging ourselves. And meditation actually suppresses adrenaline, glucagon, and cortisol. It allows your sex hormone, your growth hormone, and your immune system to elevate. And even the platelets, those hard parts of your blood that flow through the plasma, when you meditate, they get softer and more fluid. When you have a fight, flight, when someone cuts you off, when you have an argument, those platelets get hard and sticky because it goes back 10,000 years to when man first walked the planet. Suddenly you hear a saber-toothed tiger and your body jumped into fight, flight to protect you, and those hard parts of your blood, they actually start clotting before you even get cut in anticipation of doing that. So when you meditate, all that goes away. And, that's just a physiological aspect. But you'll also be less reactive. You'll be less defensive. You'll be trying not so hard to impose your will and your opinion on anybody or anything. You actually can take a breath between the question and the answer. I think that's part of my New York training. I grew up when someone asked a question, the answer was, of course, done. We'll get it done. And now it allows me to reflect a little bit. I'm a little more reflective and less reflexive. And millions of meditators around the world are a little less conditioned and can come from a more unconditioned space. And one of the most common things we can do, everybody, as long as you can breathe, you can meditate. And so why don't we try it right now? Just 16 seconds. If everyone, unless you're driving, if you can close your eyes, and if you're driving, keep your eyes open, but you can still follow along with this. If you just observe your breath coming in through your nostrils and slowly breathe in and watch the breath as it moves into the back of your throat, into your chest, down into your belly, and then hold that for about 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then slowly let that breath come back out, up your belly, up your chest, into your throat, into your sinuses, out of your nostrils, and then hold that out for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was about 16 seconds. And in that 16 seconds that we all just shared, no one was thinking about the past. No one was thinking about the future. Everyone, all of your listeners, were totally in that present moment, witnessing their breath. So if we can do that, say 4 times, that's a minute and 4 seconds. So everyone can stop. Everyone on the planet has at least a minute and 4 seconds to just stop and witness and be present in that moment. And obviously, from that point, you can say, okay, I have a 1-minute meditation practice. I can do it once a day, 10 times a day. I can make it 2 minutes or 5 minutes. And that's really how it starts. And everyone can do it, especially right before you go into a meeting, right before and after you have a difficult or confrontational conversation, when you have to make that big presentation, or when everything's resting on your next word. Stop, even for 16 seconds, and take that breath, and you'll come from a more centered, more grounded, more present moment response.
And Davidji, I think that's a great place for us to take a break for this week's Good Life Tips. Stay with us for information to help you make the positive life changes that we talk about on this show. Welcome back to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman, and our guest today is Davidji, author of the book Secrets of Meditation, A Practical Guide to Inner Peace and Personal Transformation. Davidji, before break, we were talking about the benefits of meditation, and I'd like to discuss now some of the different types of meditation that people can practice.
Well, as I said before the break, breathing, breath awareness, that process is called 4-part breathing, and that really just can help you come in touch with who you are. There are other ways that we can meditate, and some of the keys that we've found, it doesn't have to be necessarily following your breath. It can be something along the lines of an affirmation. So we're all familiar with the concept of affirmation. And if you're not, essentially just saying something that you want to be true, and if you say it enough, it can be true. Like you're walking down the street and it's 11 o'clock at night and it's really, really dark and a street light goes out and someone starts walking at you. You start to get maybe a little nervous. And if you just silently repeat, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. Now, obviously, if you're walking into a dangerous situation, that's not what, you would say, I am running, and you'd run away. But whatever that affirmation is that meets you in that moment, I am forgiving, I am whole, or I am present. And so just silently repeating that over and over, what it allows you to do, again, is drift away from all this stress, and anxiety that you brought into this moment, and all that fantasy projection that we do out into the future. These are all ways to not be in the past or the future, but to be in the now. So using those affirmations, and some people can take that, to a higher level, and that's called a mantra. And we've all heard of mantras. Mantra simply is a Sanskrit word that means mind vehicle or mind instrument. I've read it in the New York Times. I've heard President Obama use it. It's part of our lexicon at this point. So if we can come up with a mantra, and whatever that is, one of the most traditional mantras out there is Om. But a lot of times people, there's a stigma. If I chant Om, suddenly I'll turn into some sadhu or some, person who's a yogi and fly away. But you can come up with any mantra that truly feeds you. And again, just by putting your attention on it, you'll drift from the past, you'll drift from the future into the present. And everything in life is about attention. Where are we putting our attention? And intention. What are we bringing to that moment? And so if your attention is on a mantra or on your breath or on an affirmation, in that moment, you are right there. And then what intention are you feeding into that? Is it to be whole? Is it to be relaxed? Is it to surrender to this moment? Is it to accept? Is it to love more? Is it to open your heart? There's so many ways that we can do that. But that's not just it. Every time we have a meal, we usually have the TV on, if we're eating at home, or we're involved in a conversation. Instead, if we could just stop, even for the first 5 minutes of the meal, ideally for the whole meal, and certainly if you're eating alone or if you're eating with a family, even just trying this once a week, and everyone eats mindfully. You actually taste the food as it goes into your mouth. Feel the chewing. You actually are connecting to whatever the ingredients are that went into that meal. It's almost like having deeper gratitude for this moment. There's lots of people on the planet who don't have meals and don't have food. And so just to connect to, especially if it's a delicious meal, to the spices, to the flavors, to the aromas, to you just really being present and connecting to that. So I love eating meditations. I specifically love chocolate tasting meditations. Nothing better than stopping for 5 minutes, pop a truffle into your mouth, and just totally connect to that truffle meditation. And so there's so many different ways. Getting massage is a form of meditation. Practicing yoga. There's a little more activity and movement, but I like to refer to that as body-centered restful awareness. And you have the same results from eating a truffle, from sitting quietly and eating your meal, whether that's repeating an affirmation or following your breath. All the same physiological benefits occur. The scientific aspects, such as over time lowering your blood pressure and strengthening your immune system, and increasing your sex hormone and increasing your growth hormone. And so those are very, very powerful aspects. And anyone can do it. And in addition, there's obviously energy meditations that you can do, whether that's connecting to the energy centers in your body, which are known as the chakras. You can, some people consider their morning run a meditation as well. Now, if you're thinking about all of your stuff in the past and the future, that's not very meditative.
Right.
But if you can truly connect to your feet as they come down onto the ground, and your body and your breath, and truly connect to the activity that you're doing. Gardening can be a meditation. Making love can be a meditation. And there's so many things that New Yorkers have, and people in the tri-state area. It's such a lush, magnificent place where we can walk. We can walk in the woods. We can walk in the park. We can sit and just drink life in that moment. And so wherever you are, whatever you're doing, sitting in a car, or taking a walk, or sitting in a meeting, or sitting at your desk. Instead of reaching to go on Facebook and see what's going on there, just take 2 minutes and just connect. So wherever you are and whoever you are and whatever you're doing, you can connect to the present moment, and that's going to have a long-lasting impact on your next moment.
The book is The Secrets of Meditation, a practical guide to inner peace and personal transformation by Davidji. Davidji, where can our listeners go to get more information about your work?
Well, you can go to my website, davidji.com, davidji.com. And there I have free guided meditations, visual meditations, ways for you to connect, stop stress in a moment, some stress-busting techniques that people can download. And you can explore different aspects. And I'd encourage, anyone, if you're interested in learning more about how to get inner peace and be the calm amidst the storm that's flying around us, then you can also purchase my book. I also have some guided meditation CDs as well on davidji.com. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all those other social media avenues.
And as always, you can get more information on our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, read the digital magazine, sign up for our mailing list, listen to past shows as podcasts, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Davidji, thank you so much for being here with us today. You've made meditation so easy. I mean, it's something that we can very simply incorporate into our lives. I think people, when they hear the word meditation, they think that they should be, as you said, traveling to India or sitting on a beach with the ocean behind us. And it really is very simple. So thank you for being here and for explaining that to us.
Thank you so much, Joan. Your show is a great show, so powerful and so helpful to so many people. And it's my privilege to be on today and connect with your listeners. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Davidji. This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.